You done moving over there, Ryan?
Yeah, my ass is sore. Sorry. Sitting too long.
Go do a jumping jack real quick.
All right.
Do you ever pour yourself a bourbon, swirl it around, and then start struggling to come up with tasting notes? And perhaps you're also looking for a good Father's Day gift idea. Well, you can now solve both with a kit from Knows Your Bourbon. And unlike other nosing kits on the market, Knows Your Bourbon kits feature real ingredients for the most authentic aromas. You can smell real Tahitian vanilla bean instead of some synthetic aroma that's just made from chemicals. So head on over to knowsyourbourbon.com and enter code BP10 for 10% off your order.
Play Whiskey Wednesday, Round 11, the memory game. Until June 26, each week you could win one of our 12 incredible grand prizes. Select 2 doors at checkout. And if they match on drawing night, you'll win that bottle. Not a match? No worries. You still score a Weller 12-year. Every $5 ticket gives you 5 chances to win, including 4 weekly bonus prizes. Get your tickets now at give270.org. Charitable Gaming License ORG 0002703.
From their bar to yours, Chad and Sarah of the popular YouTube channel It's Bourbon Night bring you their favorite at-home old-fashioned mix with the new Elemental Elixir's Golden Hour Syrup. It's a custom-made syrup with notes of bold black tea, warm spices, and orange zest. All you need is your favorite whiskey and ice. No bitters needed. 1 bottle makes 16 drinks, so that's only $1 a cocktail before you add your own whiskey. They can also be enjoyed in other cocktails or spirits, mocktails, coffee, tea, and anything you can think of. It's crafted locally in Lexington, Kentucky, and you can get your bottle now at whiskeyambitions.com. Ed Bly and Rising Tide Spirits are back again with a new release of Old Stubborn Bourbon. And this release of Old Stubborn is a premium hand marriage of 10, 11, and 12-year cask strength, barely filtered pot still bourbon. It comes in at a staggering 123.8 proof, and the flavoring grain for this one, which the last one was wheated, but this time it's now rye. Rich, sweet, and bold with a long finish that's sure to be another eye-opener. You can order online at Sealbox or thebourbonconcierge.com, and you can even purchase in person at Revival Vintage Spirits, and even now with very few select stores in Kentucky. You can get it now while you can, but be sure to do it because it's not going to last long. Always find what you love at Total Wine & More. With so many great bottles to choose from at the lowest price, it's easy to find your favorite Cabernet or a new single-barrel bourbon to try with some help from one of their friendly guides. And with every bottle comes the confidence of knowing you just found something amazing. With the lowest prices for over 30 years, find what you love and love what you find only at Total Wine & More. Curbside pickup and delivery available in most areas. Visit TotalWine.com to learn more. Spirits not sold in Virginia and North Carolina. Drink responsibly and be 21.
Bringing to you the best stories from icons in the bourbon industry, it's Bourbon Pursuit. Now here are your hosts, Ryan and Kenny.
Welcome back to another episode of the Bourbon Pursuit podcast. My name is Kenny, and as always, I'm joined by my co-host, Ryan. How you doing today, friend?
I'm good. I'm excited to talk to Adam again. We're going to be talking about the Kentucky Bourbon Affair, and it reminds me of kind of like this. I'm a big Kentucky basketball fan, and they have a Cal's fantasy camp so you can act like you're a Kentucky basketball player. Well, this kind of reminds me of a fantasy camp for bourbon enthusiasts or bourbon lovers. So you kind of get the feel of what it's like to be a master distiller or, cooking with bourbon. So I'm excited to kind of dive into this and learn more about it.
Yeah, I agree. It's almost like like you can take what we can do on the Kentucky Bourbon Trail, and then you barrel proof it, or you times it by 100, and you get so much more crammed into a minimal amount of time. And there's so many great events that you can see that are going to be lined up. But we'll talk about that with Adam. So Adam, welcome again to the show. You're our first time as a second guest. And yes. I believe that deserves some praise. So congratulations, right?
I like to set these records early. That's great.
We'll have a T-shirt for you.
We got to work on our marketing budget for that.
Yeah.
So Adam, before we get going again, I guess remind everyone who you are, what you do, and then I guess how you're related to the Kentucky Bourbon Affair.
Sure. So, Adam Johnson. I'm the director of the Kentucky Bourbon Trail. I work for the Kentucky Distillers Association, and I'm also kind of the, for lack of a better term, kind of concierge for the Kentucky Bourbon Affair.
So the concierge, what's a concierge mean?
I don't know, it sounds cool. You know,
It's the guy who takes care of everyone and whatever you need.
Exactly. So it's funny. You know, I don't mind your listeners knowing, but we kind of set up this kind of fake phone number, but it's really my cell phone number. So every call that comes in on the Bourbon Affair comes right to my cell phone. So I'm here to really concierge. You know, if you have a question, if you need help with reservations, hotel, transportation, what event do I go to? You're really calling my cell phone. My wife doesn't like it, but it does make some odd hours of some phone calls. But I love it because it's one of those events that I get very, very excited about, and I hope people are excited about coming because the distilleries have really laid out some great programming. And so I'm always happy to share knowledge about it. So I appreciate you guys having me on.
Yeah. So I guess talk to us about the Bourbon Affair. I mean, I guess, again, an elevator pitch. If you were to say, what is it? What is it?
Right. So a little bit of history. Again, you know, I work for the Kentucky Distillers Association. I think we represent something like 27 of the 28 distilling companies in the state. And this is something, an event at the distilleries by the distilleries has been something that our members have talked about, I don't know, for maybe like 7 years now, I think. And, you know, over time, we've just finally decided, look, we're going to do it. We did it last year, was our first year. We really wanted to have it kind of timed with the 50th anniversary of bourbon being designated America's native spirit through Congress. So, in fact, down at the Fraser, we've got the actual 1964 resolution from President Johnson saying all that. So it was all kind of timed to be this big celebration of this anniversary. So we had it last year. Louisville was our host city, and I think things went pretty well. We've kind of changed up a little bit about how we do it, but really the mission is the same. It's to get people, you know, behind the scenes, just greater access to not only different bourbons, more rare bourbons, stuff they maybe haven't had, some new products, some old products, get closer to the personalities and the master distillers that make our industry so colorful. So actually, I think you guys said it best. I may have to write that down. It is kind of taking the Kentucky Bourbon Trail and kind of making it barrel proof. I like that. I mean, it really is just getting people a little bit more immersed in the different brands and the different distilleries, you know, kind of on site. You know, we have so many things that really make Kentucky special from our distilling history. And it was, let's just open our doors a little bit wider and let people get a little bit more access to what goes on here. And, you know, so far so good last year. And we really think this year we've improved, and we think people have another good experience this year in June.
Well, I won't make you start paying royalties on my.
I'm already trademarked.
No, I'm using it. I'm totally using it. So.
I'm calling my lawyers to get this trademark. No.
Well, you know, I look at the website, and you know, there's so many things going on. I guess, kind of talk about some of the special events and the distillery day events that kind of go on during this week, and I guess even, you know, when does it go on?
Right. So it's June 3rd through the 7th. Wednesday is the 3rd, and that kind of kicks things off a little bit. We've got a couple special barrel selections with Jim Beam, Four Roses, and Wild Turkey. And it was one of those things where, I mean, who wouldn't want to do a barrel selection, right? I mean, it's a great experience. The brands do a ton of those, but not everybody maybe has that kind of money sitting around to buy a barrel. I mean, it's kind of like going to Whole Foods. You know, most people can buy a bottle or two at a time, but when you're having to buy 200 bottles, that price can get up there. So we wanted an opportunity to get people together of like mind, and you can get, you know, a bottle or two at these events and kind of get that experience. So that's why we have those smaller barrel selections to kind of kick things off. And then we've got a big opening event Wednesday night. We're doing it at the Mega Caverns in Louisville, where we're going to have just kind of extreme everything. We're going to have extreme food, extreme cocktails. You can do a little bit of the zip line and obstacle course. and taste some really great bourbons. And we're going to have everybody from the industry there kind of in one room as kind of a fun kickoff event.
I can't think of a better combination than drinking a bunch of bourbon and then doing ropes course and zip lines.
I mean, doesn't that sound like a good time?
I mean, is this like a black tie affair event with it as well?
No. This would be a little bit more casual, but really that's just to kind of kick things off and welcome kind of our golden ticket holders. And those folks are a special group. We sold out of 50 tickets last year. And those are people who are doing kind of the whole thing, you know, day and night. They get every event with that ticket. And we sold those last year, 50 in about 6 days. And this year we sold it in about 6 to 8 hours.
Holy cow.
Oh, wow.
So that we were thrilled. We couldn't believe it to see that kind of response. So, and then really we kick into the rest of the week where we've got the best way to look at it is we've got kind of day events at the distilleries, and then Louisville's our host city. We're really trying to showcase the brands and the city at night with some of these nightcap events. So that's kind of Thursday, Friday, Saturday with those type of events, both kind of at the distilleries and around the city. And then Sunday we kind of let people gently go back to their homes by doing a little bit of a polo brunch send-off, and that's pretty relaxing when you're just sitting outside eating some great food, having maybe a bourbon Bloody Mary and
stomping some divots.
It's stomping some divots. Very popular. I mean, who knew yard work was so exciting? But people love that, and that kind of just ends our festivity. So, I mean, I hope people, when they see the website, see just the crazy amount of events that are going on. There's a lot to choose from. That's why you can call me if you've got questions about, you know, what's feasible, what should I do? Because I get a lot of those questions. And then people kind of build their itinerary depending on how much time they have. And so far, so good. We've had a good response. We're getting people from all over the place. I think this year, you know, I'm thrilled that of our 50 golden ticket holders, only 16 were from the state of Kentucky. So the rest of those are from Canada, California, Michigan, Virginia, Alabama, Texas. I think I said California, didn't I? Washington. So people from all over. And that's really what we want is this event to be a draw for people. Obviously, we love it when Kentuckians come, but we also love just that tourism impact of having so many people flying in for this event really makes it special because I think people see some of these events as really once in a lifetime events.
Yeah, really. And I like the fact that it's more inclusive of people outside the state, because once you start getting into the know and you'll really find out that Louisville's a very small city, especially when you start combining that with people from Bardstown, especially with, you know, Ryan's connections that he knows, seems like everybody in Bardstown. And there's all these small connections of seeing a small world. But when you start getting people that can appreciate bourbon that are coming from outside the state, you get a lot more viewpoints into it, more different perspectives and everything like that.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah, well, I was going to say it. Your all's, I guess the promo video on the website. I watched it and it got me really pumped up for the whole thing. And one thing I really liked was that the polo match, instead of like, I guess the winning team, instead of getting sprayed down by like champagne, they were just dumping like bottles of Evan Williams on each other. It was pretty cool.
Exactly. Yeah, I think that was kind of an impromptu thing. That I guess that's kind of a traditional bath that those guys take, but we switched it up with bourbon. And that video really, that says it better than I could. I encourage everybody, they can just go to kybourbonaffair.com and watch that video. And I think that does a good job of really showing the diversity of events that we had last year. I mean, we had everything from shooting shotguns with Jimmy and Eddie Russell out at Wild Turkey to, awesome. You know, just crazy events at different distilleries. And at night we had, you know, this black tie thing because it was the 50th anniversary. So it's one of the, as I heard from many of our guests, and in fact, I may try to do some sort of ad this year to kind of reflect it, is it's the hardest event to pack for that they've ever experienced, because I think people were packing, you know, boots and their shotgun and tuxedo and, you know, lab equipment and cocktail dress. You needed a little bit of everything last year, and I really like that idea. The same thing this year. You're going to need to pack very smartly because you're going to be doing just a little bit of everything.
Yeah, I mean, when I'm looking at all these different events that you can possibly go to, I guess what are some of the questions that you get when people call your cell phone and they're like, I have no idea what to choose?
Yeah, that's actually, that is the question. They go, what should I do? What's the best? And I mean, that puts me in an impossible position because it's like choosing what's my favorite kid.
And we all know we all have a favorite kid, but you don't have to say it.
Right. It's again, almost like planning your Kentucky Bourbon Trail trip is like, well, what are some of your favorite brands? I mean, the fact that at Woodford Reserve, you get to taste the first barrel of Woodford Reserve at their event. I mean, you get to kind of walk through the process of batching Woodford Reserve with the master distiller after, you just got done, charring barrels outside on property. That's pretty cool. Or then you go to Heaven Hill and, I'm always fascinated by this. You kind of learn in the industry that you can put two barrels, side by side in the rick house, same mash bill, same everything. 7 years later, they can taste so different. And then, these guys are using different floors. Obviously, the top floor of your house is probably going to be a little bit hotter or colder depending on the time of year. What does that do to the barrel? So that's what Heaven Hill's doing. You're going to taste the barrel on every floor of the rick house. And if you like the sixth floor for whatever reason, then they're going to bottle that right out of the barrel for you, and you get to take that home with you. I mean, that's something they've never done. I mean, stuff like that should make the whiskey geek, pretty excited, or even if you're kind of new to it, I mean, that's as good as it gets, those kind of things. So, and just go down the line. I mean, every one of the brands is doing something really unique and special. I mean, whether this is the first time you're going to get to go fishing at, Booker Knows, Honey Hole that he only took his family to. I mean, I could talk forever about these different events.
It seems like these are the things that only Mark Cuban gets to go do, right? But it's something that everybody can.
Right. And in fact, Fred Minnick, who's a well-known whiskey writer, that's what he told me after the event last year is he said he really feels like this was almost like a press type event. And he's like, this is the stuff we normally get lucky and get to do, but you've made it accessible to the public. And that's really what we want, is people to feel like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I got to do this. One of the events last year, we only had 15 people because it's just a small thing and it's not something they typically do, but you got to go on the roof of Brown-Forman's headquarters, underneath the big bottle of Old Forester. And they don't normally do that. The stuff that we had to do to get that done would shock people, I think. But to get up on the roof and then you got to drink probably the first commercial single barrel, which was the President's Select that Mr. Brown used to do. And that was from 1953. So people got to drink that on the roof underneath the Old Forester bottle. And when the guys came back, they got to do that. I mean, just the look on their face. I mean, that's why we do this event is they just couldn't believe it. They're like, that was one of the coolest things I've ever gotten to do. Or it's the same look on their face from the folks that got to do the barrel selection with, the entire almost sea level crew of the Four Roses. They had the chief operating officer, Jim Rutledge was there. They had everybody, and you got to kind of walk through that process. And I know John Ray, who's on our board, he's the COO there at Four Roses. He personally made every one of them a real copper whiskey thief as a gift. I mean, in his basement, so stuff like that I think people just were blown away by. And so honestly, the hardest part is trying to do it again. I mean, I think the first year was really, the level of detail, and it was very complicated. It's just, all right, here we go again. We got to top it this year.
I was going to say, how do you keep doing better than that? That's why, every single year for Christmas, I buy my wife something just very ordinary, because if I get her something really nice, then I'm really screwed for next year, right?
Man. I wish I'd known that. I didn't know that was taking
it's like doing your first date at Jeff Ruby's or something. You can't really top it from there.
Oh yeah, you know it.
If you're anything like me, then you can't get enough about bourbon. And that's why I'm a subscriber to Bourbon Plus magazine. Bourbon Plus is a quarterly publication that tells the stories from the heart of bourbon, the farmers who grow the grain, the distillers who labor over the process, and the people like you and me who raise their glasses to celebrate it all. Subscribe to Bourbon Plus magazine today at bourbonplus.com, that's PLUS.com, and use code PURSUIT at checkout for $5 off your subscription. Shopify's already taken the cash register online, helping millions sell billions around the world. But did you know that Shopify can do the same thing at your retail store? Give your point of sale system a serious upgrade with Shopify. Shopify's point of sale is your command center for your retail store. From accepting payments to managing inventory, Shopify has everything you need to sell in person. And with Shopify, you get a powerhouse selling partner that effortlessly unites your in-person and online sales into one source of truth. Track every sale across your business in one place and know exactly what's in stock. Connect with customers in-line and online. Shopify helps you drive store traffic with plug-and-play tools built for marketing campaigns, from TikTok to Instagram and beyond. And get hardware that fits your business. Take payments by smartphone. Transform your tablet into a point-of-sale system or use Shopify's point-of-sale Go mobile device for a battle-tested solution. Plus, Shopify's award-winning 24/7 help is there to support your success every step of the way. Do retail right with Shopify. Sign up for a $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/bourbon, all lowercase, and go to shopify.com/bourbon to take your retail business to the next level today. Shopify.com/bourbon.
So, I mean, I'm looking at all this, and yeah, you're right. There's so much stuff to do, and it's so unique. And if you think about, just doing a regular trip on the Bourbon Trail, it's great. I guess it's more relaxed. You kind of do it at your own pace. There's nothing scheduled. But when you look at the Kentucky Bourbon Affair itself, everything is, you kind of have to choose, like, this is what we're doing at this day, at this time, we got to be ready to do this. But it also feels like there is a much more unique sense of the things you can do. But at the same time, I mean, you're paying for it as well, right? So I don't want people to think that, you can go to the Bourbon Trail and you go and visit, the distillery and you pay $8. But, this is definitely something that, you're kind of like, you're rubbing shoulders with some of these titans of the industry right over here. So it's not just something that you can just be on a whim and just go on a Wednesday and be able to experience these sort of things.
Oh, right. Yeah, this is once a year for our guys to put this stuff on. It really is, like you said, unique. It's very special. And yes, the ticket price on some of these is, in that 100, 125, 150, 175, depending. But, a couple of things that I tell people all the time on the phone is we're providing transportation. Mint Julep Tours and R&R are really helping us provide kind of safe, easy. So you don't have to worry about anything. You're going to get in at Marriott Louisville East, which is our host hotel, the only bourbon-themed hotel in the state. They do a great job for us, and it's in a great location to get multiple places on the Kentucky Bourbon Trail. So we're paying, your transportation is covered. And a lot of these events, you get a special bottle. So think about, if you were to batch, just take Woodford, for example. If you were to batch with the master distiller, a Woodford Reserve, a liter, what's that normally going to retail for? So we have to include that in the cost just by law, the ABC. So I think sometimes people think, $150 per person, but I hope they realize that all that goes into that, and including, the food, transportation, and that kind of commemorative bottle. We really think it is an attractive price.
And you got to remember, these are gift shop prices as well. These aren't retail. So
right, and our gift shops never. This is something that again, I'm a broken record. They never try to compete with retail. It is going to be more expensive there. But so you take all that in sum, and the fact that you can't do this every day, and a lot of this stuff is the first time a distillery, maybe the last time they'll do it. Shooting the shooting of skeet on Wild Turkey last year. Who knows if they'll do that again? That was crazy. The amount of laws we had to review to see if you could have firearms on a distillery. It was an interesting process. Also.
How good a shot is Jimmy Russell?
Apparently, he doesn't shoot as much as he used to, but I think Eddie was doing pretty well last year, from what I've heard.
Nice.
So is there any things that, I'm assuming you were able to attend a lot of these things last year. Is there any things that stuck out in your mind as something that you got to experience that you're never going to forget from it?
Sure. I mean, obviously for me, it was probably the busiest I've been in my professional life, but in a good way. So I didn't get to go to everything. But for me, our closing event, just getting to hang out with everybody in the industry. We had kind of the storyteller session that just blew me away. Hearing them, some of the kind of titans of the industry kind of talking on stage was great. I actually got to go to the event at Bill Samuel's house. So here we are, with 45 other people eating in his house. He's taking us into his study, showing us all these amazing artifacts that he had. I got to dip a bottle of 46 in his kitchen. I mean, give me a break. I mean, it was kind of ridiculous. I was taking pictures just like everybody going, I can't believe I'm in Bill Samuel's house. And I dipped a bottle after I just saw the original bottle of makers in his study. It's crazy the stuff that you get to do and just go down the line. All of us as a staff kind of split out. So everybody's like, I can't believe, guess what I'm doing right now? I'm actually, helping pick a barrel at Four Roses, or I'm shooting with Jimmy, or, I'm hanging out at Stitzelweller. Like this year, you're going to get to go through a master blending process at Bullet this year. The Heaven Hill event this year sounds really cool. The Four Roses event will be good. Town Branch is participating this year, and you get to go on kind of this culinary train ride with the RJ Corman dinner train out of Lexington. So everybody's doing something pretty special and pretty unique. The hardest thing probably for us is we're going to be all fighting over which ones we want to go to, just to quote unquote work. I mean, somebody's got to be there.
Oh, absolutely. But come to think about it, some of them are already sold out. So I guess if you are wanting to do it, you gotta start thinking fast.
Yeah, especially some of those night events. I mean, those are a little bit smaller. Like the Wild Turkey Dinner with Jimmy and Eddie, that sold out pretty quick at the Seelbach. And I think that's been a pretty popular ticket because, that'll be kind of early evening. And then Old Forester is hosting a speakeasy in the Rathskeller downstairs later at night. So I think some people are going to both of those. They're just going to hang out with Jimmy and Eddie and eat dinner, and then they're going to walk downstairs and do the Old Forester speakeasy event. Some of the other, the event at Bill Samuel's house this year, we're kind of tweaking it around a little bit. That's been very popular. That one's getting short on tickets. The Michter's event that they're doing, where you're going to really get your hands dirty, like cooking and learning how to cook with bourbon, where we're doing that on the rooftop of the Fraser. That one's getting short on tickets. So a lot of those night events, which are kind of the brand nights, are we're starting to run low, but our opening and closing, particularly the closing event, which we're going to do at Bowman Field, which is kind of the small airport. We're going to totally take over one of the hangars, and we're going to make it. If you guys can help us come up with a better name, we're calling it Casa Bourblanca right now, but it's going to be this Casa Blanca kind of white linen shirt, theme with cigars and vintage airplanes. We're going to have a big band, lots of great food, and just some really exotic bourbons. I think that's going to be a really fun event, and that we want a huge crowd for. So I've got as many tickets to that as we want to sell, because we want that to be a big kind of fun closing party event. So if you guys come up, you guys are the creative geniuses. You come up for a better name for that. I'm switching it.
Okay.
We'll put our thinking caps on.
Yeah, we'll get to work soon then. So it sounds like a lot of these things at night are also kind of paired with some restaurants. Are you working with particular ones to try to figure out all these venues?
Yeah, I mean, like Four Roses, they're working with Bourbon's Bistro. They're a great partner of ours, and it's a great place for bourbon and great food. We're using a lot of local chefs. We're really teaming with the which I encourage you guys to check out, is the Stave and Thief Society, which is kind of this new bourbon training, almost like, you've got wine sommeliers, you got beer cicerones. We're really trying to create something for bourbon with this whiskey or this Stave and Thief Society, which we're starting to roll out. So a lot of the participating businesses that have jumped in on that training program for a lot of their frontline staff, we're going to try to feature them as well at different venues. So we're really trying to get people out on that urban bourbon trail at night. Even if you don't participate in some of these more sanctioned events, we really want people going out there. I mean, as you guys know, Louisville has a great culinary scene, and there's just so many options. That's what was a real perk for people last year, is getting to go to some of these classic and, to us, iconic bourbon bars that, not every community has. So I know Bullet's pairing with Silver Dollar. It's hard to beat Silver Dollar. It's hard to beat Bourbon's Bistro. I mean, any of these places, in terms of their not only bourbon selection, but knowledge and the programming that they do. So we're really trying to get people out on the town at night and see what Louisville has to offer. At the same time, we want them out at the distilleries during the day to see what our member distilleries have to offer. So we're trying to give people the best of both worlds, day and night. And hopefully, over time, we've got a couple other little options that we might try to add on that I can't really talk about yet, not to tease people, but we're trying to have some stuff that will be kind of open to anybody as kind of a good accompaniment to the Bourbon Affair that we're working on. So stay tuned for more info on that.
Well, good.
Cool.
We'll definitely try to keep an eye out.
And the Louisville bars are open till 4 a.m., so people can party as long and as hard as they want.
Yeah, we just need a morning, so hopefully people won't be out too bad.
Well, good deal.
Exactly.
I mean, Adam, I guess last question. I guess if any of the listeners out there are thinking about coming in town for the Kentucky Bourbon Affair, how do they learn more about it? Where can they get tickets? And I guess if they want to get those gold tickets for next year, when could they possibly get those?
Well, we'll keep people on the list for next year. The best thing is kind of sign up with us through our email. You can email me. I'm at affair@kybourbon.com or adam@kybourbon.com. I answer to both of those. kybourbonaffair.com is the website to buy tickets. We've also got kind of social media. We've got a Twitter account that has a lot of the news updates on that. We're at KY Bourbon Affair, and we've got the Facebook page, all that stuff. So any of those things, tons of information on there, or check out some of the distilleries' websites for more information about their individual events. Or just, as I said, call my cell phone.
Whatever, whenever, right?
Exactly.
You're like a doctor on call.
That's what I'm here for.
Well, good deal. Well, thank you everyone for listening in. If you like what you hear, make sure you subscribe to us on iTunes. Follow us on Instagram and Twitter at Bourbon Pursuit.
Yeah, and any suggestions, comments, feedback, we'd appreciate it. Thanks again, Adam, for coming on again, and we'll see you next time, guys. Hope you enjoy.